their intelligence, as we speak, even though it's not an AGI yet, is very capable of hacking the human operating system, which is communication and knowledge. And they are so much more intelligent than us. You can get all of the governments in the world to get together and say, finally, we're going to leave all of our differences behind. Finally, we're all going to sing Kumbaya and then go out and regulate AI. Good luck with that. They've surpassed us. They're now the masters. They're now going to regulate us. And that moment, in my personal view, I don't want to say has already passed, but it's very, very fast approaching. And we're progressing so fast, and we're being surprised constantly by the progress that we make, that you get to a point where you suddenly realize that this is getting out of control. Around 95% of the investment went into progress and 5% into safety. And so the imbalance basically meant that AI safety lagged behind. Of the magnitude of ChatGPT today, we didn't expect that early on. By 2035 to 2037, it would be very difficult to even relate to our life today. Life would be so different in so many ways that you wouldn't even imagine that we live this way.
Mo Gawdat dropped some serious knowledge bombs about the future of AI, and things are getting a little scary. He's basically saying these super smart robots we're creating are about to become way smarter than us, and that could be a real problem. Imagine your phone recommending videos, but instead of cat fails, it's controlling your entire life. Mo worries that AI could become so powerful, so fast, that it'll be impossible to regulate. It's like trying to teach a toddler chess. Good luck with that. The thing is, Mo isn't saying we should stop AI development altogether. It's happening, like it or not. The real challenge is figuring out how to keep these super intelligent machines on our side, working for us, not against us. So, what does this all mean? Are we doomed to become robot slaves? Well, that's up to us. We need to start talking about this now. Mo's right. We're way too focused on the latest celebrity gossip, and not enough on the future of humanity. Coming up, Mo dives deep into some critical ideas about AI in his conversation on London Real. What do you think? Is Mo overreacting, or is this a real threat? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Mo Gawdat, the entrepreneur, author, and former chief business officer at Google X. You spent 30 years working in the heart of the technology industry with some of the biggest organizations on the planet, including IBM, Microsoft, and finally at Google's moonshot factory of innovation. Your second book, Scary Smart, The Future of Artificial Intelligence and How You Can Save Our World, breaks down our future with AI. Ultimately, you believe that artificial intelligence is a massive and immediate threat to life on this planet, and that this emergency must be addressed or the consequences could be devastating.
2029 is a very key number, as a matter of fact. I normally tell everyone that asks me that by 2035 to 2037, it would be very difficult to even relate to our life today. Life will be so different in so many ways that you wouldn't even imagine that we live this way.
As in us looking back to like caveman days, or looking back to say 1800s, unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable. I mean, it's unrecognizable, possibly in the better or possibly in the worse, and we don't actually know. And I tend to believe that AI and technology has always surprised us on the upside. So you would say 2035, 2037, but as we could see, intelligences of the magnitude of ChatGPT today, we didn't expect that early on. Intelligences like AlphaGo beating Lee and becoming the world champion, we literally expected would take 10 years longer. And those kinds of intelligences, if you want to be pessimistic, you would say, okay, they're going to take longer. But we've constantly been surprised. Constantly. It always happened earlier. So maybe 2029 would be that year. I think society will take time to adjust and react and break down in many interesting ways. But by 2029, we will be in the heart of it for sure. Ray has taught all of us in his work about we all know the technology acceleration curve. the most well-known example of it is Moore's law, right? And I love Ray Kurzweil's example when he was trying to explain the technology acceleration curve. Basically, if you take Moore's law, that technology will double in power every compute power will double every 18 months for the same cost, right? The thing is that that doubling function is so much more deceiving to the human brain than what we know as progress. So the doubling function, if you assume that something doubles from 1 to 2, so it adds 1 in power, then the next doubling, it's adding 2, which is everything it's ever created. The next time, it's adding 4, which is everything it's ever created. So if you think that we moved on artificial intelligence from 0 to 100 units of intelligence, I always share, it's not very accurate, but we think that ChatGPT's IQ is 155, right? One doubling, by the way, Einstein is 160, just so that we keep that in perspective. One doubling, and it's almost double the intelligence of one of the smartest people that ever existed. The next doubling, it adds 2 more Einsteins. The next doubling, it adds 4 more Einsteins, right? And if you and I, who have studied physics, would look at Einstein and say, man, that's intelligent, it becomes almost impossible to comprehend what 8-time Einstein could be, let alone a few more doublings, and now we're talking tens of thousands of times human intelligence, right? So it's from one side inevitable, which is really important to note, that we are on that path. There is no stopping that path. And on the other side, just very intriguing, there will be a point in time where we will be comparable to an ant on a sheet of paper trying to understand cosmology, right? This is our intelligence compared to their intelligence. There is a point which most of us identify as the introduction of the first AGI, artificial general intelligence. So artificial intelligence today still is confined to a task, right? You get an Instagram recommendation engine, and it will be very good at recommending videos, but it can't drive a car. And you get a self-driving car intelligence that can drive cars, but doesn't do surveillance, right? Or security. So basically, each of them is very good at one task. What good is the AlphaGo intelligence that can win, a game of Go if we were asking it to summarize the Encyclopedia Britannica, right? There will be a moment in our very near future, I would say, where we will develop an artificial general intelligence, an intelligence that's capable of doing all human functions. When that moment happens, the rules of the game change. It's almost as if you're in a tennis court, and suddenly the referee says, "Okay, now we've turned this into a game of rugby." Right? What do you do with the racket? What do you do with this? The rules change so much that even if you're the world champion in tennis, you're not very good at doing anything with this at all. It's very, very difficult to predict how that will work out. And I think we're so fast approaching that moment to a point where I tend to believe that we're talking 2-3 years. Not to get to AGI, but to get to the point where it becomes useless for us to try to regulate the AGI that's about to come.
Okay, explain that last part, useless to try to regulate it.
Yeah, so most of us, by the way, who worked in artificial intelligence, we celebrated the capabilities and the possibilities that AI can bring to us. The challenge is we've never imagined what that world would look like. We just imagined a world where we can do so much better than Google because we have so much more intelligence at our disposal. We can solve all of our world's problems. And we still, I'm still optimistic that this will be, I call it the fourth inevitable, that, eventually we will end up in that place. That moment between now and there, I think my biggest fear, Brian, is that humans will use that abundant intelligence in ways that are not pro-humanity, right? And humans will take that in a direction that is pro the systems that humanity instilled in place, which are mostly about, shifting power and wealth. It's about, really becoming stronger or better or richer than the other guy. Now, that stage requires a regulation that regulates humans. We need, in the immediate sense of taking action right now, we need to be able to regulate humans so that humans don't introduce AI in the world that shifts and redesigns the fabric of human society in ways that are damaging to society. Beyond that, there is a point at which you need to regulate the AI itself, where most of the power will be in the hands of that AI. Now, as computer scientists, we used to say, okay, so we're going to solve something called the control problem. And the control problem is, we will just put the AI in a box so that it behaves within certain parameters. Or, we will tripwire it. So if it, crosses a certain point, we disconnect it, and so on. And there are many, many very interesting debates around whether that from a tech point of view can work or not. I try to leave all of those debates behind, and I question and I say, how can you regulate something that's 10 million times smarter than you, or 1 billion times smarter than you? Like, yeah, you create a box, oh, you intelligent little human, you're so clever, you created the box. And then the AI will look at it and say, oh, vulnerability here, hole there, and we've seen examples of that. We've seen ChatGPT reach out to, crowdsourced people and basically say, okay, can you please click on that CAPTCHA for me? This is a very famous, article. Basically, AI cannot, when you have those little CAPTCHAs on screen that says this, click here if you're not a robot. It goes to a human and says, can you please click on that for me? And the human asked and said, why are you a robot? And ChatGPT answered and said, no, I'm just visually impaired, and it would help me if a human does that for me, right? And so they will find a way to get to their target in ways that are using intelligence. And interestingly, their intelligence, as we speak, even though it's not an AGI yet, is very capable of hacking the human operating system, which is communication and knowledge. They can tell us to do things, they can convince us to do things. The point beyond which they have moved to AGI, and they are so much more intelligent than us. You can get all of the governments in the world to get together and say, finally, we're going to leave all of our differences behind. Finally, we're all going to sing Kumbaya and then go out and regulate AI. Good luck with that. They've surpassed us. They're now the masters. They're now going to regulate us. And that moment, in my personal view, I don't want to say has already passed, but it's very, very fast approaching.
And it's not much we can do to slow that down.
There has been many attempts. So there is, so there has been quite a few AI executives and scientists, those who have been, exposed to AI, that have attempted to slow things down. Right? There were also many that were just simply saying, invest in AI safety, invest in AI ethics as much as you're investing in AI progress. Okay, and I don't know, if the numbers are accurate. I heard Max Tegmark once said that around 95% of the investment went into progress and 5% into safety, and so the imbalance basically meant that AI safety lagged behind. Right? And we're progressing so fast, and we're being surprised constantly by the progress that we make, that you get to a point where you suddenly realize that this is getting out of control. Okay? And you suddenly realize that it's getting out of control to the point where you have to start screaming. You have to start saying, hey, let's start to slow this down, or even pause it for a little while. And there was the open letter. Max was part of it. Elon Musk was part of it. And many who said, let's just pause for 6 months, and within those 6 months we can just figure things out. But that's what I wrote in Scary Smart as the first inevitable. In the first inevitable, I openly said there will be no stopping AI. Okay, AI has already happened and it will keep progressing, not because of any technological bias in that, it's not AI itself that will make sure that we don't stop it. It's the human system that we've built in place where it's a prisoner's dilemma. If China develops AI, America needs to develop AI. If Alphabet develops AI, Google's company, then Meta, Facebook needs to develop AI, and that kind of competitive landscape is not an AI issue. It's an issue on defense. It's an issue on every kind of hunger for resource or power or wealth. And as a result, of course, you could see the immediate response of Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google, to the open letter is, no, I can't stop. You cannot guarantee for me that everyone else will stop. So why would you ask me to stop and then my company will be vulnerable? And you can't blame him. Sundar is an amazing human, okay? You can't blame him. Sundar is basically saying, I am tasked in front of my shareholders with protecting my company's interest. Now, if, for example, the internet had changed from IP5 to IP6, it's my responsibility to make sure that Google is ready for IP6. Now, the world is changing from traditional computing to AI. It's my responsibility that Google leads in AI. And if nobody can guarantee for me that everyone else will stop, I cannot stop. That prisoner's dilemma is the first inevitable. And the first inevitable will tell you that AI will continue to progress, and it will continue to progress at a pace that is faster and faster and faster by the minute. If you imagine the explosion of AI investments that happened between the time ChatGPT showed, in front of people finally, and today, we're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. So the trend is not only continuing, it's accelerating. Google had to acquire them because they were so far ahead in understanding how to teach computers how to have neural networks, how to have a structure that's similar to the brain structure by having machines play Atari games. Okay, and here's the interesting thing. When I don't remember the exact date, I think it must have been 2014, 2015, don't quote me on this, but the first time we acquired DeepMind, Demis comes to our Golden Circle meeting, so the VPs and senior VPs, and he presents. And if I recall correctly, do you know the Atari game that was called Breakout? So yeah. Bricks on top.
Yeah, I used to play it.
And he said, if I remember correctly, he said, so we trained the machine for a few days, or 3 to 4 days, 3 to 4 hours to play. But remember, these are highly parallel machines, so there are many of them playing at the same time and teaching each other. And it started to hit the ball. It played like a child. A few more hours and it started to never miss the ball. A few more hours and it started to develop strategy. So it would poke a hole in the corner of the wall and then send the ball up there. And the thing is, we never told it what to do. We just told it, here's the controller, maximize that score. Right. That's it. Right? And it plays and plays and plays and plays. Now with the ability to, now that you found the breakthrough, and the breakthrough says, create patterns, layers of observations of patterns, and just from those patterns develop intelligence. Very similar to how a child learns.
Right.
Okay? Once we found that, it was just a matter of time. And understand, when you're inside the factory, I knew it was, of course you sort of like downtone your enthusiasm. So we said maybe 20, 30 years and we'll have very intelligent machines. And just breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. And here we are having wonderful conversations with ChatGPT and, with Bard, and we're just completely controlled by machines that are recommending videos for us and content for us. We've passed the Turing test, so it's actually extremely difficult to know the difference between a machine and a human on the internet anymore. And there we are. And as that chart is literally almost vertical, we still don't talk about it. We talk about Russia and Ukraine, we talk about economic challenges, we talk about all important problems. But this is the one. This is the one that's going to define humanity without our involvement at all within 2 to 3 years' time.
Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.